नमस्कार दोस्तों, मैं अमिताभ and you are watching A Word with the World. And friends, lately in last 1 week or so, there has been a lot of discussion about mental health. There are certain incidents which have taken place, which have stirred the whole nation into a moment of shock, apprehension, fear, and thereafter started a discussion that how seriously are we taking mental health. And one of the very important issues that have cropped up is depression. Are we all generically using the term depression, or do we really understand what is the psyche behind, what is the science behind? And friends, it has become a matter of significance for us to spend some time understanding depression, understanding tendency for suicidal thoughts and suicidal attempts, and many other aspects related to depression and mental well-being. And we are committed to take up the issues to the world and have a dialogue, a word with a word on depression and suicide. Friends, the best is to talk to people who know about it the best. And though I'm a psychologist, but I have no qualms that it's always better to have multiple thoughts from the people who have been practicing. And with our commitment to get the best resource for you, we have today a panel of professionals and experts with us. And friends, we have Dr. Ravi Kumar connecting from Uttar Pradesh, who has been practicing in Lucknow and Kanpur, and right now he's practicing from Kanpur in Uttar Pradesh. He has done his MD in psychiatry from King George Medical College. He has worked with one of the premier institution, Sanjay Gandhi Postgraduate Medical Institution in Lucknow, which is one of the premier institutions in India. He has been working with various units of World Health Organization. Your list of his credentials and credit is long. So we have Dr. Ravi Kumar with us as an expert psychiatrist with years, more than 3 decades of experience in the field of psychiatry, helping out people with their mental health and psychiatric issues. And we are going to get a perspective on depression from Dr. Ravi Kumar. But friends, at the same time, we thought that while we get the experience of Dr. Ravi Kumar, we also have invited a young, dynamic doctor for last 6-8 years of practice in the field of psychiatry. That is Dr. Rohan Kumar, connecting with us, who has a very distinct experience set. He's also he's working a lot with youth, and he's also consultant psychiatrist for mental health and well-being with the various IITs. And so he is also there where we are going to get a youth perspective from a professional who's dealing with a lot of youth issues of mental well-being and health. We also have with us Shyoshi Guha. Shyoshi Guha is an advocate, a lawyer, connecting to us from Mumbai, Maharashtra. Shyoshi is a knowledge curator with a legal background. And of course, we'll try, I'm very curious even to know what is knowledge curator, and we'll get to understand from her what it is. And Shyoshi is someone who very strongly believes that mental health and well-being is something that needs to be taken up, and people should seek help in time so that they can take care of their well-being before it is too late for them. And she has taken it up on herself to make people aware, and she herself has gone through an experience, and being a person who has come out, she wants others to know that it is no big deal. It is nothing more than the emotional pain is nothing more than a pain that we experience in various parts of body, and we need to take care of it in the same spirit and the same stride. So friends, with this panel, without any further delay, allow me to invite all the resource persons to share the screen and be with you live on the school times. You're watching A Word with a Word, dialogue on depression. Namaskar, Dr. Ravi. Welcome to A Word with a Word with us.
Namaskar, Tab, and good evening, all the listeners. And I'm thankful to Amitabh for giving me an opportunity to share my experiences and knowledge with the larger population. And since we are running with a pandemic where the mental health is most affected,
Right,
so if our population knows about it, which was not very popular some time back, but now
right.
it is a need of our that know about the mental health and how to prevent mental disturbances. We will be discussing about them in the further
Thank you
session.
so much, Dr. Ravi, because I really love the way you simplify such complicated scientific concepts for people to understand with great simplicity. Uh, I understand Dr. Rohan is having some signal issues. We are going to call him up to join us with us. We have, in the meantime, allow me to invite. All right, Dr. Rohan is back with us. Dr. Rohan, welcome to A Word with a Word. I think there is a signal issue. I'm just putting you down, Dr. Rohan. We'll take you back on the screen. Sure, she. I think today we have ensured that we have this special episode at 7:30. There are a lot of users. There seems to be connectivity being an issue. Shoshi's signal is still a little weak. I hope she gets on. We have Dr. Rohan with us. Welcome to A Word with a Word, Dr. Rohan. I think there is a little echo happening today.
Hello. Good evening, everybody.
Dr. Rohan, I think there is an echo that is taking place. Okay. Dr. Rohan, all right. Viewers, I hope you will bear with us. There is a bit of a setting issue which we will work on, and we'll start with our interaction with the content. Uh, Dr. Rohan, can I request you, if you can close the door, maybe there seems to be two devices, mobile or laptop in the same room connected at the same time, which are conflicting with each other. Maybe if the door of your chamber can be closed. I think there is a little conflict of. Okay. All right. Is it, Dr. Rohan? You're connected on from two systems. It seems. If there is a speaker that needs to be, is there a speaker that needs to be? All right. Okay. Uh, Viewers, bear with us. The issue that we are going to talk about today is of great importance and significance. We are just trying to all right, we have got Shoshi connecting with us. I think Shoshi also is having a little signal issue. Let me try, Dr. Rohan. All right, somebody has just pointed out from our viewer that Mr. Adarsh Kumar, thank you for your feedback. Dr. Rohan seems to be connected from 2 devices, hence the echo. All right, I think the echo is. Are you connected through 2 devices? If you're connected with 2 devices, laptop and mobile, both one needs to be turned off. All right, all right, we've got Shoshi now with us. Let us see if Shoshi, your signal is seems to be not doing justice at the moment. We had a lovely trial run with pre-broadcast brief. Everything was good, but all good things have some issues at times. Uh, all right, let me just check now. Dr. Rohan, is it? I think it is working out fine now. You needed to change the place, it seems, Dr. Rohan. Can you hear me, Dr. Rohan?
Yeah, I can hear you. I have changed my place, but I'm not.
All right, now you are with us on the screen. Can you hear us, Dr. Rohan?
Yeah.
All right. So I think we will initiate our dialogue on depression. Shoshi will join us in a short while. She's trying to get her signal sorted, and she will be with us in a while. We'll take her in between in our discussion. So once again, Dr. Ravi, Dr. Rohan, welcome to A Word with a Word. Audience viewers, we apologize for the initial technical glitch, but I think you all will understand we are working against odds these days, and the whole of the country and the world seems to be on the internet, and the load on the internet and the internet traffic is very, very high. So we all are going to go and face this challenge, but I am sure more than these little hiccups, important is the issue that we are taking up and taking up in our dialogue and discussion today. So, Dr. I would like right at onset, there is when we talk about depression, you are dealing with a lot of cases of depression for so many years. We are dealing with it. We are dealing with a lot of schools, colleges as well, and depression seems to be a very generically used word. हमको थोड़ी सी भी परेशानी हो जाती है, थोड़ा सा भी चिंता हो जाती है, we say I'm feeling little depressed. If I'm not in a good mood, we generically tell this to our friends, yeah, I'm feeling very low, I'm feeling very depressed. So I think it's high time that people understand the difference between a general sadness and what we call technically as depression. Can I request you to throw some light so that people can understand what is depression?
Depression as a word, if you are using, then it is a word in English dictionary, depression. So that
Right.
is depression as an emotion.
Right.
But we call is called depression in the medical terms, then it is a disease
Right.
which has been classified in the International Classification of Disease in the name of major depressive disorder. So we basically are worried about the illness part of it. Depression
Right.
as an emotion can come in anybody due to certain reasons, but it will not last very long. Maybe for a day or two or three or four, and then it will remit on its own. And
Okay.
intensity wise also, it is not so much that it interferes in your day-to-day routine or in your day-to-day working style.
Right.
So that is called as depression in a layman's term. But when we say that depression as an illness, where for which we are worried about, then
Right.
there are two things which are very necessary. First,
Right.
that it should be present continuously for more than 2 weeks at
Okay.
in a single
Okay.
stretch. Then only we will consider it as a depression as a disease. But
Right.
if it is for less time, we will not. It does not come in the diagnostic criteria of depression. And
Okay.
second, it should be of an intensity that it is interfering in your day-to-day routine and your day-to-day working. Like you are not able to go to office, or you are not able to attend your classes, or you are not able to make meals in the home. That is
Right.
there. So
Okay.
this is the difference between the depression as a normal English word and depression as a disease. Here we
All
will
right.
be basically talking about depression as a disease for which we are worried about because it
Very
is
good.
harmful if untreated.
All right. So two things which are very important that I would like to reiterate for our viewers and audience when we talk about depression. Two very important things that we all need to keep in mind. One is it has to be for a sustained period of time, minimum 2 weeks continuously. That feeling has to linger and prolong. Only then it falls in the criteria of your diagnostic criteria for calling it clinical depression. And the other very important criteria is whatever you are referring or the feeling or emotions as depressive, it has, if it is interfering with your normal routine, normal activity, it is not it is affecting your normal pattern of livelihood, of living, only then that will be considered as a symptom which is liable for going for more severe diagnostic initiatives there. Thank you so much for putting up this clarity, Dr. Saab. Dr. Rohan, here, while Dr. Ravi has emphasized on it, you are dealing with a lot of youth, being a consultant to IIT as well. A lot of youngsters must be getting in touch with you. So, as a psychiatrist, what do you think that is it youth which is more prone to depression, or it has nothing to do with age, or there is some criteria about age factor as well?
Yes, see, usually the age of onset is around 20 to 40. It is between 20 to 40 years. But recently, in last 3 decades, it has been seen that children and adolescents are also being affected.
Okay, okay. So, so age, we see more prevalence of it in that age group, but then it can happen to people in other segments as well.
Yeah, yeah, it can occur across all age group.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much for that insight. So we will get a little more insight, but before that, we have Shoshi, who is back with us, waiting in the studio, and hopefully her signals are fine. So let me take Shoshi also with us in our discussion. Shoshi, welcome to A Word with the World on depression, and you are welcome to this show. And I'm sorry that you were having that bit of a technical snag in the beginning. I hope all is good now.
Yeah, thank you so much for welcoming me on board. I did have a little bit of a glitch, but I think it's fixed now. So yeah, I think we can go ahead.
I think that was also very symbolic कि कभी कभी बड़े बड़े शहरों में ऐसी छोटी छोटी बातें होती रहती हैं, जैसे कि इंटरनेट कनेक्टिविटी में या डॉक्टर रोहन के सिग्नल्स में, या कभी कभी छोटी छोटी मुश्किलें आती हैं, वैसे ही जिंदगी में भी बड़ी छोटी छोटी मुश्किलें आती हैं, और अगर हम उनको एज अ प्रॉब्लम परसीव करेंगे तो शायद हमारे लिए मुश्किलें और बढ़ा देगी. We need to maintain our calmness like you all did. So thank you so much for being here with us on our show. Shoshi, we have just started our discussion and we were trying to understand both the doctors with us on our panel what is depression. Before we carry on further, all of us are very curious. In fact, since the time our promos started going on air about it, and we got mails and queries, people asking what is knowledge curator. So you are an advocate and a knowledge curator. So can you throw some light about what do you do as a knowledge curator?
Sure. So I've been practicing for the last, I think, 2 years now. But before that, during my law school years, I used to write a lot about the law because I've always been someone who really enjoys writing. So
Okay.
through my writing, I basically realized that the law is actually extremely intimidating for most people, and it's something that people are alienated. They feel alienated by. So it's sort of like through some of my experiences while I was writing, and through some of my professional experiences during law school years as well, I basically took on this vision of trying to democratize the discussion around law. It was also thanks to one of my mentors during my law school years, who basically passed on this vision to a bunch of us. And the whole idea is to basically present the law, to deconstruct the law, to present the law in such a way that it doesn't alienate you, because ultimately the law is there for you and not just for us lawyers to figure out the way around it. So yeah, that's, I mean, we coined a nice term that rings well, but the idea is to just make the law non intimidating and more accessible for people. So that
All
was
right.
what we're doing. Yeah.
So, as a knowledge curator, you are simplifying the awareness about law so that people do not get intimidated with the same. And we are also, through our word with the word, taking up issues and trying to knowledge curate them. And you are one of the spearheads who have also taken this mantle of making people aware of mental health. And we are today doing the knowledge curating on depression so that people do not get intimidated with the term depression. And we have two experts with us, Dr. Ravi and Dr. Rohan, with immense specialization. We have even in the medical field the experience as well as the youth. So we will get both the dimensions of the psychiatric practice and the concept of depression as well. So taking it further, Dr. Interestingly, I would like to point out that this is one of those episodes that right from the beginning, when our viewers have joined us, I'm already having questions and the queries pouring in by the people, and I think that validates there are people who are looking for the right source and information. Now, before we go further, friends, I would like to give a statutory warning and a clarification to all of you. All that we are going to discuss here on this platform is with good intention of spreading awareness and making people aware of depression. It should not be taken as a replacement for any treatment. If you are going for a treatment, if you need to help, visit to a doctor or a psychologist or a psychiatrist is very, very important. This is an awareness platform and we should keep the information shared at that level itself. Having said it, taking it further, Dr. Ravi, coming back to you once again, when we talk about depression, you know, even with the lot of media coverage that we've got, our due sympathies with a young talent of Sushant Singh Rajput, which has triggered and made a lot of people talk about depression and suicide even more. There is a lot of people in Sushant Singh's friend circle who are saying, I wish I could have helped. There are people who are saying that, I did not know how to help. There are people who are saying, I did not realize that he was going through so much of pain that he may indulge in such an act. If it, there are a lot of theories and debates going on, so we will not comment on that. But then there is a feeling in people. How do I understand that someone who's my near and dear one, who is going through a situation that needs more professional help?
Yeah, certainly. I would like to put it like that. If it is in the common, people know that in phases of depression, suicidal ideas come in the mind. It is part of a symptom of the depression. And
Right,
depending on the severity of the depression, say mild, moderate, and severe, then, as the depression is severe, the suicidal ideas are coming, start pouring in as a part of symptom.
right,
And if somebody is aware of that such kind of ideas are coming in your mind, then you must communicate it with the
right.
person who is well known to you, whom you feel that he is wise enough, or you can take the medical help also. There are various helplines also available,
Okay,
various organizations for the patients who are, or for the persons, I should say, who are having suicidal ideas, that they get in touch with them and they will try to help them. So this is the knowledge if anybody is having, and he is not able to talk to anybody else, he can simply talk to a helpline, which are
okay,
available 24 hours, and there are many in India. If you
okay.
type helpline, then you will come to know. And
All right,
then the next part is the people who are staying with or are meeting the person, they how can know that the person is
right.
becoming prone for committing
Okay,
suicide. So usually the persons start communicating directly or indirectly
okay,
that their life is not worth living. He may
okay.
not say directly that I am trying to, I am thinking of committing suicide, but he may say that my life is useless now,
Right.
and it is worthless now. Or in some or the other ideas, he can communicate indirectly. So even if
Hmm.
that you may not be able to see me later, or
Okay,
any kind of communication may be there which is hinting that
right,
the person is thinking of suicide, or if the
okay,
person is trying to uh, materialize his things in a systematized manner, that he is
right,
doing his investments like that, or he is looking in the details that how the other one will get the whatever he is having properly transferred to him, then this
right.
is also a sign that why the person is behaving like it. Or
Okay,
there are significant changes in the behavior pattern of the person. He is not
right,
able to sleep, or he is withdrawing a lot, or he is not taking interest in the things. So all these things can be, or he is trying to collect the things which can be used for committing the suicide, like a weapon, like some medicines, like some things, like
right,
material, the rope, the things. These things also indicate indirectly that the
right.
person try to commit suicide.
Okay,
And it has been seen that actually the person does not want to commit suicide. There is an imbalance that whether I should do it or not, whether I show it or not. This
okay,
also
okay,
occurs. But if something is there to provoke it, or
right,
something not there to prevent it, then he may complete the act.
okay, okay.
Like
Uh,
finding what we call as copycat suicides, or the person was depressed. He was just thinking to do it or not to do it. But
right.
this motivation made him to commit the act
Okay.
effortlessly.
So
So
that's a very important point for our viewers to understand from what you said, that that the person who is who indulges in an act of suicide is actually not someone who wants to do suicide. It's just that he's contemplating it. He's in that dilemma to do it or not to do it. But then there is a moment which becomes is a trigger that in an impulse it makes him indulge in the act which we name as suicidal act.
Yes.
Right? And a very important point also you have emphasized is that when we talk about depression, the sign and the symptom to understand, if you see any significant, change in a behavioral pattern which is more towards pessimism. If you see that the person is brooding for a longer period of time, is trying to keep himself or herself in an isolation, so if you find a significant shift for a sustained period of time, then it is a point of concern, and you need to you look into and take it with greater seriousness. And what Dr. Ravi said, that if at that point of time you can interact and talk to the person, probably the person may come out of that dilemma and the phase, and in more than often, person will not indulge in an act which is very, very extreme in nature. Doctor, before we go further, Dr. Rohan, welcome back. I think there was you left us for a while. वो कहते हैं ना कि हंसने दिल का साथ न छोड़ा लेकिन हम घबराए तो देर लगी आने में फिर भी तुम आए तो, right? So it's so good to have you back with us, and I would like to ask you, youngsters, like I asked Dr. Ravi about how to identify the youth which is there. एक हमारी टेंडेंसी जब हम लोग यंग रहते हैं, कॉलेज लाइफ में रहते हैं, तो जरा जरा सी बातों पे हमको लगता है कि हम बहुत, हमारा दुख सबसे बड़ा दुख है, और हमारी गर्लफ्रेंड ने हमको छोड़ दिया, तो हमारे बॉयफ्रेंड ने हमको छोड़ दिया, और and then we feel that is the biggest pain that we have. Probably we have so there are so many relationship issues which crop up. There are somebody scored lesser marks and did not achieve and score enough that up to expectation of himself or society or parents, and one starts getting feeling low. So I'm sure you must be experiencing a lot of such situations. Can you throw some light what kind of situations youngsters and the youth is facing these days, which they refer as depressive, which actually is not depressive, which cannot qualify as depression?
Yeah, for qualifying depression, he or she has to he or she should have those symptoms, and the symptoms should persist for 2 weeks, and they should interfere with the daily living and the work. What I have seen in children and adolescent, the presentation might be different. Instead of persistent sadness, they can be persistent irritability. So this is, all other things are common, like they will prefer to stay aloof and alone, and all talking, like thought pattern will become negative, sleep will become disturbed. But this in children and adolescents, irritability can be the one of the important symptom, persistent irritability, and it should affect their work. That is very important.
Okay, so besides other all common symptoms that Dr. Ravi has also emphasized, Dr. Rohan says that persistent irritability is another very important symptom that needs to be kept in mind, and the word is persistent. कभी कभी किसी के भी irritate हो जाने को we cannot generalize as the problem as a depressive symptom. But before we go further, Dr. Ravi, I have a question. We're talking about depression, and I would like our audience and viewer to be very clear on it, that is it something that we have to live with for the rest of our life, or is it something which is it is curable? I mean, depression के साथ जीना पड़ेगा, या एक बार ठीक हो गया तो it's okay forever?
Yeah, here I want to say that depression is usually treatable. Most of the depressions are treatable, and the treatment extent is very good because there are no signs of remission, that there are no residual symptoms that depression is over but something is left. So there are no residual symptoms. It is most of the time completely curable, and but it may take time in the term of weeks or maybe months. So
Right.
one should be not be very much disappointed that I was depressed today, I am depressed tomorrow also, because that is the
Right.
pattern of the illness. It will
Right.
turn in the term of weeks, but one should be assured that he will recover completely. Those who have initial episodes of depression, they know that as
Right.
I was depressed some time back and I became okay, I will again become okay. So that
Right.
is the good part of depression. Most of the
Okay.
depressions are treatable
All right.
and with full recovery.
Okay.
But in some patients, there may be recurrence of depression that the patient remained all right for a few years and then again he had an episode of depression.
But
And
those are a few in number than the other types of depression which are more curable.
yeah, but they are also curable. But in
Okay.
those who are having recurrences of depression, they may have to take the medicines for a longer time so that the maintenance treatment continues. It is not as large as treatment as the initially was. Maybe one or two pills he has to take, like he is taking for blood pressure or diabetes,
Right.
and the depression does not come back. So
All right.
depression, as far as recovery is concerned, is a I may say that it is not a bad disease. It is
All right.
it is recoverable, and when you are recovered, you are completely recovered.
So the good news, viewers and audience, and I would like each one of you are watching this right now in live and otherwise, please spread this word to all who know about it. That depression is not something that you should consider as a stigma for yourself. It is an absolutely curable form of problem that you and I face. I'm not even choosing to call it a disease. It's an absolutely curable form of disorder, and you once you go to a proper professional, it is taken care of. But yes, please be careful and be watchful. Any professional who's promising you कि आप 3 दिन आइएगा हमारे पास उसके बाद आप एकदम ठीक हो जाएंगे, it varies from individual to individual, case to case, and the fact is that you need to remain patient and go through the complete process. If you go through the complete process, you don't have to worry. You will come out of it, and you probably will not even have to think about it the second time. And if at all someone has a tendency, it may take a little longer, but that also can be taken care of. So, listening to both of you, it is very, very clear when we talk about depression. If there is there are various forms and various stages, and it is a curable form of problem or disorder that we have. Nothing to worry about. Just reach out for the help in time, and you will be absolutely, absolutely fine. Friends, at this point of time, I would like to request Shreyoshi. Shreyoshi, before I go further and request her to share her experience with the, with her life, I would like to tell you that Shreyoshi is someone who has inspired me and motivated me to name one of my programs as Mind Spa. And because we had this particular program which we were doing for people who are with she came with a thought that a lot of people have do not understand mental health, and it is something that we have to go through. Dr. Rohan, there is another device with which you are connected that needs to be all right, coming back. So, where there has to be an opportunity for people, not when they have a problem to talk, when they have concern, they should come and get themselves regenerated, get their dilemmas sorted out. And that is where we came up with the concept of Mind Spa. And so we are running a Mind Spa, and that is concept. Full credit to the terminology that Shioshi has given. And Shioshi believes that her experience in life is like going for rejuvenation and living a happy life. So Shoshi, I would like to thank you, first of all, for being so brave and confident person in life and willing to reach out and taking up this movement to make people aware that it is absolutely okay to be not okay and get help.
Yeah, absolutely. I think from personal experience, I mean I've realized that it's I think a kind of strength to understand and accept that you have issues that you don't understand how to deal with, and asking for help is not an act of weakness. It's actually an act of strength, and to go to somebody who is an expert in this area and allow them to help you through this journey into something, into a better you. I think there's always a lot of strength in that, and I think I would like to encourage everybody else who's struggling with something like this to accept that process and to commit to it, for sure. About my experience, my own personal experiences, I think I would like to start somewhere around about 2 years ago when I just graduated law school. So I've always been, I mean, in terms of my personality, I've always been someone who is extremely shy, who's very introverted, and somebody who's a perfectionist in terms of my work. But school years, I was always someone who missed out a lot about marks and coming first in class and things like that. So I think that had something to do with it. I mean, they were my personality traits. And then after I moved out of law school, I had a lot of trouble. Basically coming to terms with a fast-paced life and all the stresses that come with professional life. So it began at that point, but I didn't understand it then. So it was just a lot of overwhelming emotions and thoughts that used to just be very chaotic in my mind, and that sort of led me to take a few drastic steps in my professional life very soon out of my law,
Okay.
which was very strange, and I should have understood it then, but I didn't. So I took drastic steps, and after that, there were 2 months of just, I was just with myself and my own thoughts, and I wasn't able to understand what's going on, why I'm thinking all these things, why I'm always so upset, and why I'm always so anxious. I also want to clarify that my primary diagnosis has been of anxiety, and it has been triggered by a lot of my other personality traits as well. But at that point, I didn't understand any of that, so I just I would have breakdowns, and that was handled by some of my closest family members and friends, and. And at that point, I did not even think of therapy because it was something that always presented to me as a very unaffordable option. It's not something that people usually say. It's not like a general physician that you go to if you have a common cold, right? It's just something that people think that, I mean, therapy is not an option that's given to you, even if you talk to somebody. So that was one problem for me, and the other was that I just thought that it would get over, that I just get over these feelings and these thoughts. So yeah, that happened, and I did sort of through my support system at home, and through my friend circle as well. I got over it. I went back to work, and it was much better. And then sometime around last year, towards the end, towards the second half of last year, all these feelings started cropping up again. They were triggered by certain incidents that had happened in my personal life as well as my professional life, and yeah, so things started coming back, and again I was in that whole dilemma about what is going on. I don't understand. I don't know why these thoughts are coming in. I don't know what to do with them. So that's when I think I was motivated by a couple of my colleagues who have gone to therapy, who had experience to therapy, and they were the ones that encouraged me, and and it's just been uphill from there. I've had a very a positive experience by going to somebody who's a professional, and I think one of the biggest takeaways from that is that it really helps you helps bring your issues and your life in perspective, because you feel like you've been looking at something in a certain way, and then while talking to a professional, it sort of opens up all these different avenues for you, and you suddenly see that, okay, you know what, something really small that happened in my childhood could have affected something like this, and I didn't even realize it. So, suddenly I found that okay, there are reasons why I behave like this. It's all right. There are ways to forgive myself for things that I've done because of this, issues that I've faced, and it's absolutely okay. And there are ways to get around it and get better. So that has been my experience in a nutshell, in a very small.
No, no, thank you so much, Shoshi. I really liked the level of self belief and the confidence, and you're an extremely great communicator. You have summed up the experience so beautifully. I would just like to ask you, a lot of people, they have a mindset about going to a about 28 29 odd years back when I started my practice as a psychologist. um, लोगों का एक mindset था. It took me a few years of struggle before I could sensitize people that they can come to me, but then people would resist. There is a taboo attached to it. A lot of people have weird ideas that if they go to a therapist or a psychologist or a psychiatrist, God knows what's going to happen and how the doctor is going to open the mind or therapist is going to open the mind. So, what message you would like to give to people that how normal is that experience?
Thank you for that question. Actually, it's very relevant, I think. I would want to tell you one thing that one positive thing that I've seen through my interactions with my peers and my friends is that this mindset is definitely changing for sure. There is a lot of awareness among young people, and they do want to take help. It's just about what kind of help they want to take, but they are a lot more aware, about their own issues, and they're a lot more willing to basically treat those issues than people were probably 20, 30 years ago. So that's one positive that I can assure you of. The other thing is that even among people who are, I think, aware of this and they want to do something about it. I can speak from my own personal experiences. I think there are hurdles to this whole process. One of them is the misconception that a therapist may not be able to understand you really well. I think it's just, and that I guess after hearing Dr. Ravi and Dr. Rohan, I feel like it's just a symptom of your illness as well, where you feel like whatever you want to say or whatever you're going through is not something somebody else can understand. And I think that's the biggest challenge, because I faced that as well, where okay, I'm someone who is able to open up to a therapist, but when it comes to closer people like my friends or my family, it becomes it's a very difficult thing to really go to them and tell them that okay, I'm going through these problems. And it's not because of people think that it's because of a lack of a relationship or something, but it's really not that. It's just it's what you're going through, and you're unable to really explain yourself and to connect with them, and you feel like telling them will only worry them, and it's not going to help you in any way. So that I think that void in communication is one problem that most of people who go through it face, because I've faced it. That said, I think once you're convinced that you want to commit to that process no matter what, and you want to move ahead, and you do take those few steps, and at least in my experience, when I did go to a therapist, it's really nothing like what you expect. It's a very simple, just like a discussion, where it's not what they show you in the movies or in the TV shows as well. They like it's very, very different. In fact, my therapist just started off by asking me what brings you here, and I remember it was literally one entire hour of me talking nonstop. She just asked me what brings you here, and I just kept talking nonstop. And then in the end, she's like, okay, I understand that you have a lot of problems, and we will deal with them one by one. But and it will be a subjective experience. But yeah, it's a very normal thing to just go to somebody and talk to them. And my biggest like advice and takeaway that I would want to share with everybody who's hesitating to go to a therapist is that you don't need to have a breakdown for you to go to a therapist. If you feel like you're not feeling like yourself, if there are overwhelming thoughts that you are not able to over a long period of time not able to work through, and that is disrupting the way you know yourself, because you will definitely know if there's something that's not working for you. It's just I am a certain way, and this is not who I am. are acting in a different way, I'm interacting in a so you will get to know. And if that does happen, there is no problem in going to somebody who, I mean, I understand that it's a bit of a task to find some, a therapist that works for you, because it's a very subjective experience. But if you commit to a process and just talk to them, I really felt that it's just one interaction helped me feel calmer, and it gave me the confidence that I can get over it. So
That's
it's just a very normal interaction and a series of normal interactions with somebody who will not tell you what to do, but help you see yourself and your issues better, so that you yourself can come up with solutions. So yeah.
so beautifully shared the experience and summed up in the last few lines, Shoshi, that therapist or a psychologist is a person who doesn't tell you what to do.
Yeah.
It's only there to help you. आपके मन की जो उलझने हैं और वो आपको सुन के आप ही को हेल्प करते हैं कि आप उनको सुलझाते जाएं. And और एक बार जब वो ताने बाने सुलझते जाते हैं, when that interwoven entangled thoughts start getting sorted, the calmness sets in, and it is not someone telling you what to do. It is you deciding what to do with your own life. It's just that you have a non-judgmental friend who is willing to listen to you and help you think with a more clearer perspective and thought process. So thank you so much for sharing that. One more question that is coming to my mind to ask you, Shoshi, before I take the opinion of professionals. There is a very thin line when, we all have every day-to-day life situation, कुछ ना कुछ ऊपर नीचे होता रहता है. In fact, I'm reminded of a line of a song of a very old movie in 70s. जब दर्द नहीं था सीने में तो खाक मजा था जीने में. Life is in a form of a wave. It's a roller coaster. Kabhi upar to kabhi niche. And so there are going to be moments which are where we are going to feel sad and not feeling very sorted. And the other side is it going to a point where I think I need to take help. You are someone who decided at a good time, and you are totally out of it. And because you took a timely decision, everything got sorted in good time for you. So how did you take that decision? How did you differentiate that now you need help? So I mean, what as a person who has taken a decision, what suggestion you would give to others, that how could they differentiate between it?
Okay, so I do want to say that it is again a very subjective experience, and everybody feels things differently. But having said that, if I would want to share what I went through, then what happened for me was that it's just it's I know how I am and how I interact with people, and my reactions with people, or the thoughts that I have, and the way I respond to a situation or a person. And the things that happened during the time that it peaked for me, at least, is that it was I mean, it's a very chaotic like environment in your brain at that point. I think that's the best way that I can express it. It feels like there are multiple things that are going on in your head that you just cannot work through, that are not being able to be resolved by you. You're constantly thinking about those things. They're making you feel like nothing is worth it, or everything is just too overwhelming, and you are worthless, or you have no talents, or it's just and it's all of overwhelming emotions and feelings and thoughts. And I just felt that those things are not the person that I actually am, and they are different from me. They are things that I don't understand. That's one of my biggest things. Like, I usually, how I process things is that I understand something, I know how to deal with it, and get over it. But these things were so difficult for me to even understand, that I think I realized that if I don't, then it's just going to be like, you get over it for a certain period, and then they come back, because there are definitely triggers for this. So unless you train your mind to sort of work through it, they're going to come back. So I took the advice of some of the people who were benefited by going to a therapist. And yeah, so I went there, and it's just that I think for me to differentiate it was that it was not something that I was familiar with about myself, and it was just too much. And it was, like the doctors have also said, that it just affects the way you approach life and your closest people, and you will know. It's something that people will know if they have an issue.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that. As Shoshi quite rightly pointed out, that you know, कभी कभी ऐसी स्थिति आती है लाइफ में जब आपको लगता है मन में बहुत सारी चीजें चल रही हैं, you have too many thoughts there, and you have too many questions. In between, you start questioning yourself also on certain aspects of life, and you are not getting answers to those questions. And you also at times find it difficult to talk to someone who's very close to you in your family, not because there is any issue of connect, it's just that you are not too sure. And that is where you need to take help, not thinking that there is a problem that you have with you. You need to think that you need to sort out all these queries in the thoughts, and so that you can think more clearer and get a clearer perspective. And that is the time when you need to reach out to take help. It is not, it is not first you have to open a DSM classification and a list of symptoms, and then put identify the ticks, and now say, all right, now I qualify to go to a professional. Friends, when you think there are imaginary or real dilemmas, you need to reach out to seek help. And Shoshi, I would like to share here with you and all the viewers who are watching. My best and the most difficult task when people come to us for help and counseling and for therapy sessions uh, is to tell them you are okay. Because more than half the time, the people who have come, when we talk, we counsel, and then we try to make them understand. So we take few sessions just to make them understand you're okay, because there's nothing, no disorder, there is no complexity, but then still there is a pain, there is a stress, there is an anxiety, and that needs to be sorted out, which you so beautifully narrated, that you don't need to wait for a disorder to occur and be diagnosed. You need to go when you have that feeling of stress and not being able to sort out at your own level, take help of a professional. Dr. Rohan, आप यूथ के साथ इंटरेक्ट काफी करते हैं. Of course, you are dealing with all kinds of patients in your hospital. You are associated, but then with your association with the college audience, even IITs and all, ये जो IIT वगैरह के स्टूडेंट्स हैं और जो इस तरीके के प्रोफेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशंस हैं, उसमें एक एकेडमिक स्ट्रेस होता है, एक परफॉर्मेंस स्ट्रेस होता है. तो किस तरीके की सिचुएशंस आप इनके साथ एक्सपीरियंस करते हैं?
There are a few common problems which are these students are facing, like as I told you, depression, anxiety is there. Other than what I see, the problem of addiction disorders are very common. Like these days, like internet addiction is very common. Others like alcohol and other substance, they are also very common. So these three problems, like depression, anxiety disorders, and addictive disorders, these are very commonly seen in college students.
In youth. Dr. Ravi, जो Dr. Rohan का कहना है, youth is moving towards these addictive or disorders, substance abuse, काफी prevalent होता जा रहा है. Do you see a correlation with increasing stress, anxiety, and depression? That is what is making people have an unnecessary correlation with alcohol or drug, and that can give them relief from their stress and pain. So what is your take on that?
Yeah, I just want to say that since we are finding that the incidences of depression and anxiety are increasing, say it was 10 percent before this pandemic, but during this pandemic whatever observations have been done by Indian Association of Psychiatry, that it has increased up to 33 to 40%
Okay.
relatively. So,
Okay.
uh, being exposed to any kind of addictive substance, maybe it is an experience for one time or for two times for anybody. But if a person who is anxious or
Ji.
depressed, he
Ji.
becomes addicted to it because it gives him certain kind of relief for a short period of time.
Ji.
When you become in the habit of taking that substance to get
Ji.
relief from your anxiety, then it becomes an addiction. So that is why
Okay.
if anxieties and depressions are not there, usually people will not become addicted to this, like alcohol.
Right.
They,
Right.
many people are consuming alcohol once in a while, but somebody is
Okay.
consuming tea. So those persons who are having any kind of mood drop disorder, they are suggested that they should not try to take the help of any kind of addictive substance, whether it is tobacco or alcohol,
Right.
anything, cannabis product or many things are available also now. Earlier they were
Okay.
not available
Right.
easily, but now they are available easily. Alcohol shops are also there at short
Right.
distance. So things are available now. And if you are
Right.
becoming anxious and if you are having some kind of emotional things and you are taking the help of addictive substances, they will give you a feeling of well-being for a short period of time, and then you will keep on repeating them to get that relief. Simply is
Okay.
the area of this internet addiction also. You become addict to gain a feeling of well-being just by viewing them.
Right.
And since it is easily available, everybody is having an internet connection. It is
Right.
the most easy thing to become addicted. So that is
Right.
but harmful. Younger the person, more harmful it is.
Okay. Okay.
So that
And that is where the problem broods even more. राइट डॉक्टर देर एक छोटा सा सवाल यहाँ पर आता है कि ये जो does any substance abuse or these drugs and all in any way help anyone overcome depression?
no, it cannot. It can simply enhance the depression
And
because
that is something that viewers have to know it in a very, very clear terms. Friends, alcohol, any other substance, any other drug has potential to enhance your depression. It does not help you overcome your depression in any way. So अगर आपको कोई भी ऐसा कुछ बोलता है कि चलो थोड़ा गम गलत करते हैं और हाथ में कुछ एक बॉटल ले लेते हैं, ग्लास ले लेते हैं, उससे डिप्रेशन कम हो जाएगा, it can only increase. Doctor, can you just elaborate that a little more for people to understand the science
yeah,
behind it?
uh, I I want to put it like this, that this is basically a chemical or a substance which is not going only in your stomach, it is reaching to all parts of your body.
Right,
And uh, through the circulation of blood, which reaches to the brain also.
right,
Basically, if we want to elaborate the things, depression and anxiety are also biochemical disorders of the brain.
right,
And you are taking substances which are addictive in nature, they are disturbing the biometabolism of brain also. The
right,
hormone structure is changed, the neurotransmitter structure is changed, and
right,
you start losing the brain tissue also.
right.
So the chances of recovery become more meager in comparison to a normal person. If you are taking some kind of medicine, it is also interacting with it. Even it has been seen that those persons who were consuming tobacco, they did not
Okay,
respond to the medication as the others. So, in all way, it will be harming for yourself.
all
You
right.
will you may become in so much involved into it that you forget that you have to treat your problem in a scientific manner.
In a, right,
Suicidal events, these are more common in people who are addicted to some substances.
So those who are addicted to substances may be more prone to depression rather than overcoming it. And so stay away from the substance
Many
abuse. It doesn't
consume
help.
overdose also. So just to
Yeah,
get the relief from it, they consume the overdose of the, and that becomes the cause of death.
absolutely, absolutely. And depression is a neurotransmitter disorder,
Yeah, basically,
and
there is a genetic basis also. All the recent researches, we are finding that all these disorders are having a genetic loading. Some people are
right,
prone for becoming
right,
suffering from a depressive illness or some other kind of psychiatric illness. And when
right,
all the factors, internal and external factors,
right,
get together, then it may take a switch on, and then it
absolutely,
continues.
right.
So, uh, one must know that it is not simply that it is your thinking only. There is a
Okay,
long chain of events before the illness comes or takes its shape.
all right.
It is
So,
basically a biological disorder, simply to say. It is
so
not primarily a psychological thing. It is
right,
basically a biological problem which needs biological intervention.
right,
Certainly, psychological methods also help in treating
right.
those things.
And if it is a clinical depression, medicine is a must in that case. And it is not just your thought which is triggering it, it has a biological manifestation which only medicine can help if it has gone to the state of being a clinical depression. Here, I think it is a good time to take some of our viewers' queries also. And I would like to encourage all our viewers, if you have any query that you would like to ask any of the four of us, feel free to ask. And Because this is a dialogue on depression, you're watching a word with a word, and you feel free to have a dialogue and ask your questions and queries with all the freedom. And this is exclusive on the School Times web channel. This episode is sponsored by HLS India, an institution pioneering in the field of psychological interventions. Having said it, allow me to take a query which is there from Mr. Kapil Agarwal. And it is one of the very first questions we received today in our interaction. I was waiting for some of our clarity to develop before I take up for our experts to respond. Why do the most confident people go in depression in a particular environment? I repeat, Mr. Kapil Agarwal says that why do most confident people go in depression in a particular environment, and is depression due to genetic factor also? Dr. Ravi,
Yeah,
yeah, Dr. Rohan, yes, please.
yeah,
Partially, I
yeah.
have already
Depression.
responded that basically it has a genetic basis. Some people
Okay,
who are prone for becoming depressed, it does not matter that what they are doing or what situation they are having. There are some internal factors which make him prone for becoming depressed. And if
right,
the external factors also contribute, maybe some
right,
decision making, maybe some losses, or maybe some fears, these all some failures, they trigger the thing,
right,
and you are finding as if you for a very simple example, I say that 10 people failed in the same examination.
right,
Two people decided to go to a movie to
right,
forget the thing, and the
right.
one committed suicide. So
Okay,
the person who was prone for becoming depressed, he became depressed, and then the sequence followed, whether it is the duration of illness or the presentation of illness. All these
okay,
things are there. So that is why it does not take see the person, it
right,
seeks the biology of the person. And some people who are prone, many people are at higher positions but they are not sick, but some
okay,
may who are
okay,
prone for it. It does not help that how intelligent or how educated they were, but if they are prone to becoming depressed, they will become depressed.
So it is not, intelligence has nothing to do with the depression. It is more about the proneness and the susceptibility to the same.
Yeah.
Dr. Rohan, my question connected to this is that you are dealing with the college level youth as well. At a college level and various circumstances now, even in a professional context, even in certain news as media reports with Sushant Singh Rajput's case, there was a kind of a bully that was taking place, kind of a gaslighting that was taking place. At college level, there are some people who bully a individual. Can that trigger a depressive cycle, and does it is that responsible for depression, and that can that go to even bigger extremes?
Yeah, it can act as a trigger, and
Right.
especially if the problem is persistent. But the vulnerability should be there. It's not like every person who is being bullied gets into depression. The
Okay.
environmental factor are very much important, and especially if the stressful situation is persistent, and if that person is vulnerable, then the combination of both of these can lead to depression.
Okay. Okay. It is the combination of both. It is not, and but then yes, bully can definitely be a trigger for initiating a cycle in a person who can get
I,
into a depressive
yeah,
cycle.
person who is susceptible or who is vulnerable, in
Okay.
those person it can trigger it can act like a trigger.
डॉक्टर रवि, मैं थोड़ा सा जानना चाहूंगा जो अभी डॉक्टर रोहन बोल रहे हैं कि डिप्रेशन और कैन बी ट्रिगर्ड बाय बुली इन अ कॉलेज लाइफ. ये जो लोग बुली करते हैं, जो जो दूसरों को ट्रबल पहुंचा करके उसमें एक सैडिस्टिक प्लेजर लेते हैं टू एन एक्सटेंट, जो थोड़ा वल्नरेबल है, थोड़ा सा इमोशनली सेंसिटिव है, उसको और ज्यादा परेशान करके उसको बुली करते हैं. उन लोगों की मानसिकता क्या है? आर दे आल्सो सफरिंग फ्रॉम सम डिसऑर्डर?
Yeah, if I want to clarify, or if you want to categorize, they are also suffering from some kind of personality disorder. Some may
राइट.
be having antisocial personality disorder. Some may get satisfaction or gratification by giving pain to others. Some may
राइट.
get gratification by hurting others. So,
राइट.
but these are not good qualities of personality, and there
राइट.
is a separate category of the diagnostic disorders, what we call as personality disorders. So
राइट. राइट.
personality disorders are of various kind. One of them is
राइट.
this also, that who
ओके.
get pleasure by hurting others emotionally or physically or in whatever ways. They
राइट.
get some kind of pleasure, and
राइट.
it becomes their habit also sometimes.
राइट.
Many do criminal activities also. Criminals are also basically having personality disorder. They get pleasure in harming the others, or by harming others, they get pleasure.
राइट.
So this is the problem
ऑलराइट.
with some people who, by hurting others or by troubling others, get some kind of gratification and pleasure, and it
And
becomes
because of the personality disorder of few, there are other emotional people who get vulnerably targeted, and
yes,
which triggers some problems for them as well.
yes,
Yeah.
Right. Here, before I go further into an inquiry, I would like to read. There are so many comments and appreciation are coming in the chat box. I would like to read this. Sneh Priya Yanappa says that looking forward to this fruitful session, and why I am choosing to read it here. It is very important for us to discuss these things more openly and sensitively, and I think that is where Shoshi has taken the lead to inspire many others to come up and talk about it, because it can save many from a pain, and a pain, emotional pain, and is no different from physical pain. It has a cure, it has a remedy. One just needs to understand, accept, and reach out for the same. We have there's so many comments. Deepak Kultresh says, Dr. Rohan, okay, that was advice for using the technology better in the initial phase. All right, we have uh, Neha Upadhyay Bagri says that it is important to note that the feeling has to be sustained. So the message is started going to people in clear terms. There is a question which is raised by Ishita Gomes and also Rekha Singh. Rekha Singh's question is, good evening, everyone. My query is it is depression hereditary? And Ishita Gomes' question is, for people uh, who have family history or depression, what precautions should they maintain? Dr. I would ask both Dr. Rohan and Dr. Ravi, and even I would like Shivashi as a person who has understanding of mental health and being to respond to this question. इशिता गोम जानना चाहते हैं कि अगर किसी के फैमिली में एक एटमॉस्फेयर ऑफ डिप्रेशन, बहुत सारी फैमिलीज में होता है that somebody has is going through some disorder or depressive phase, उसकी वजह से बाकी परिवार भी उससे अफेक्ट होने लगता है. So, what precautions should be taken by the family for helping that person and for their own self? So, I would पहले मैं चाहूंगा Dr. Rohan, if you would, if you can comment on your opinion of this, then I will go to Shivashi and then Dr. Ravi. Okay, Dr. Rohan, just 1 second. I think, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very nice question. And yes, this depression has a genetic basis. And what the precautions the other members should take, like they should be aware about all the symptoms and of depression. And if they are having those symptoms, so they should they should consult a mental health professional, because depression has a genetic basis, and they should be aware of all the symptoms, and timely they should consult so that they can be helped.
All right. So Dr. Rohan says अगर family history depression की है तो genetic factor cannot be ruled out, और अगर किसी में family history है और कोई दूसरा व्यक्ति in the family tree finds depressive thought for a sustained period of time, at least 2 weeks minimum, and one should definitely reach out and seek a professional help, should not neglect it, because family history and the background and the symptoms may correlate for a stronger reason for seeking the help. Shashi, what do you think? Yes, Dr. Ravi.
Make one comment here, that the good part is this, that it is not essential. There may be genetic loading, but it up to what intensity it is there.
Right.
So it is not necessary that if your father or your mother were having some kind of this disorder, then you will also have it. It is not essentially needed.
Right.
Both the persons, if they are having depression, mother and father, still you may not have depression. But while diagnosing a patient as depression, we take the family history also. That whether any of your close relatives suffered from this kind of disorder or related to this disorder, then this is a point in favor of diagnosis. It is not kind of that transmission, that it is more amongst the family, but it is not essentially, it is not that kind of transmission that if the father or the mother is having, then the child will certainly have.
All right.
They will be more popular in families which is having genetic loading, but it is not essential. These factors are still being studied.
Okay. Very, very important clarification that, friends, what Dr. Ravi and Dr. Rohan are emphasizing here, that if there is a family history, it is taken with more seriousness, but then there is no such indicator that if the parents have or anyone in the family has a depressive history, that does not necessitate the person in the next generation or in the family tree will also have depression. These are under study. But yes, when we go for mental health professional, when they take the case history, this is taken as an important significant point under study. But then it does not necessitate कि अगर घर में किसी को ये problem है तो दूसरे को होना necessary है. So and it is still under study. And Dr. Ravi further emphasizes अगर दोनों parents को भी diagnosed clinical depression है तो भी जरूरी नहीं कि बच्चों को डिप्रेशन हो, ऐसा कोई भी डायरेक्ट कोरिलेशन नहीं है. बट यस, when somebody comes with a problem for a health, this is taken as an important indicator to make a study and give it a different level of seriousness and importance at the same time. Right? Thank you so much for that clarification, Dr. Saab.
And very rightly, as Rohan said, that if you are aware of such kind of symptomatology, then if at all you will have them, you will first come to know that I may be. Then you can get yourself checked up that whether you are really having it or the doctor may.
Absolutely. So it is one of the parameters that helps us reach closer to the diagnosis, but it is not a definite criteria to ascertain if parents have it, the offspring will also have it. Shashi, what would you recommend as a response to Ishita Gom's query that what precautions should the family take if there is a family history of depression?
So I would not know much about precautions per se. I think Dr. Ravi and Dr. Rohan have elaborated on that. But what I can share is, how to basically make a family environment more responsive to something like this, or just to help the person who's going through it to deal with it better. I think one thing that I've definitely experienced is, like I said before, one main thing that I used to struggle with is to just talk about these issues, because I used to feel primarily that somebody will not understand what I'm going through. I won't be able to express it, and it's not something that can be coherently expressed. What I'm going through. The second thing is that when you are feeling so many things, it's very likely that what you're going through is not the most positive of things. It's not a very positive impression you have about something. It's not a very positive thought you have about a relationship or a particular aspect of a relationship or about anything in general. So I think one major thing that I would say is that what would help a person going through it is to just have open channels of communication. And when I say open, I genuinely mean open, where you are allowing somebody else to freely talk about what they're going through without making them feel like they should be guilty for feeling that way, or they should feel strange about feeling that way, or they're wrong about feeling something. Because I think that validation and that support is really important for someone to really open up, and opening up is the first step, I would say, to having a supportive environment and a supportive system of family and friends, so that even if you aren't able to talk to a therapist, to really talk to somebody who's close to you, you need to feel free. And that feeling of freedom is something that people unintentionally are not able to help. Like it's not an intentional thing. It's just something that comes as through human emotions. Like if I'm listening to somebody, I would have my own thoughts and opinions. But when you're talking to somebody who you are aware going through something very different from you, that openness of communication is really important, and that sensitivity and that freedom of really talking about what you're actually going through and feeling accepted for it. And so, yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for that perspective, and I'm sure a lot of people listening to us will benefit in a big way. There is Preeti Soni has put up a query which says that some people give out some depressing vibes. The question is not about being depressed. It's about some people giving out depressive vibes which may affect us. How to avoid that vibe without spoiling relationship with that person. Preeti ji, this does not require any medical intervention. It would require making your own, working on your own interpersonal communication, acceptance of your own self, and also choose to ignore. Practice a thought that forgive them for they know not what they are doing. And you should know what you are doing and why you are doing, and live your life with the clarity. You will be fine. And if this is a persistent thought affecting you, I would say that please talk to a professional or a family member. You will come out of this phase. It is just a phase that you are going through. Not to worry until unless the whole thing starts becoming depressive in nature for you as well. Uh, Here we have a very, and I would like to throw this question to Dr. Ravi. How adults, apart from doctors, the question is from Himali Shah. Generally, people, the question is, how can adults other than doctors help someone deal with the situation at home? What could be the first aid that the family members can give? Dr. Rohan wants to respond to it. Yes, Dr. Rohan.
Yeah, it's very important what a family member can do. Listening is very important. Then understanding them is very important, because many times these people hesitate. They think that they might not be understood. So listening and understanding, supporting them, and motivating them is very, very important.
Right. Okay. Dr. Ravi, your take on the same.
To comment here that depression is a dynamic process. If not treated by medical methods, it can go away on its own also. In many people, it comes and goes on its own also. So,
Right.
in those cases, if there is somebody who is listening to you, who is more wiser than you, who can give you better suggestions, who can give you emotional support, they can pass that time and the depression may remit on its own also. But
Right.
if it is coming to the intensity of a disease that you are diagnosed him as a patient suffering from depression, major
Right.
depressive disorder, as I told you, I did not tell in the past, depression is classified at 18 places in the international classification of diseases.
Right.
What basically we call as depression is major depressive disorder. So, but if
Okay.
somebody is having really suffering from major depressive disorder, that person may guide him to take the necessary help,
Okay.
and that will
Okay.
also help. And if some patient
And
is having only a depression of the intensity of so much dynamism that it will remit on its own in few weeks or a month or a two, then certainly if the patient gets some psychological support or physiological methods like
right.
exercise or gym or eating schedules or sleeping schedules or some guidance, then it may over by its own also. So
All
that
right.
kind of depression can certainly be helped by somebody who is more wiser than you and is more close to you, but not exactly the depression as a disease. He will
So
certainly
depression,
guide you, or he can motivate you to take the help from a
depression as a generic stress and you know a phase of sadness can be helped by people in the family, but if it is a clinical depression, it requires more professional help. And Himaliji, I would like to point out here that even as a psychologist, when we get people to for counseling for depressive cycle and all, they, we also try to differentiate and we understand whether it needs medicine or not. And the moment we feel that it requires medicine, we immediately refer the person to a psychiatrist, and we try to provide the support alongside. And in fact, in case of suicidal thought, even if the verbalization comes, we straight away say that first you go and consult a psychiatrist, and then only we can provide, because it requires medical health. So that if at home, as Dr. Saab right correctly responded, घर पे जरूर मदद कीजिए, उसकी सुनिए, exercising and other things can probably take care of it. But if it persists and if it lasts, take to the appropriate professional. Do not delay and let the professional decide whether it can be held at home or it requires other professional interventions so that you can accordingly help the person. We have got, I'll take this as a last read because we generally keep it as a 1 hour, but then it's such an important issue. We are already there for more than 1.5 hours with the on going live. Indrani Guhaji writes, sometimes you just need to accommodate the fact that the person may not want to share. We are doing that. We were quietly with her during her phase and we never probed as it used to agitate her. Maybe my perspective could be a point too. Inrani Guhaji is sure she's it's a sure she's connect, and she says that sometimes when somebody is trying to deal with it on her own, respect that, value it, and give that space. Be around, be watchful, be vigilant. But if the person is trying to deal with it on her own, allow the person her own space until unless you feel it is very, very important. Because if the person can deal with it, take the initiative at personal level, I think the outcomes are going to be more lasting because the initiative at the person's level itself. And friends, more than half the problem is solved when the person himself or herself realizes I need to get it sorted, because that means more than half the things are already sorted. It's just a matter of time when things will uh, be taken care of. So, friends, there is a lot more to talk about. Maybe we'll come back with more sessions on mental health, and we will, of course, all of you are welcome to come up and connect to us on our Mind Spa, which is where you don't have to be someone who has a problem. You can just connect for the session to understand if everything is all right. If you have some generic issues, like Dr. Saab talked about, that there are certain things that an elder in the family can talk about. You are going through a phase of sadness. Mind Spa will help you rejuvenate and come out of that. And that concept is inspired by, all credits to Shreyashi Guha, because that is the term given to her in her expression, and I have latched on it and capitalized on that terminology. So, Shreyashi, I would like to thank you, Dr. Ravi, Dr. Rohan, and I would like each one of you to starting with Dr. Rohan and then going to Dr. Ravi, and I'll give the last word to Shreyashi, your message to the world in this A Word with the Word. Dr. Rohan, what is your message on depression to people?
Yeah, my message is depression is not a sign of mental weakness. It is just a disease like any other disease of body, and it requires proper treatment. And depression is preventable and it is treatable.
All right. So, like any other disease of the body, depression also has its medicine. Take help in good time is the message from Dr. Rohan. Dr. Ravi, your message to the world.
Yeah, I think Rohan has very rightly communicated the gist of it. Depression is a very common disease. In fact, the commonest disease in the world at the moment. And
Right.
it is the most disabling disease also by virtue of its strength in the form of numbers. Females are more prone, twice as common as the as males. But depression, I will say, is not a bad disease because it is treatable, and it is completely treatable in
All
majority
right.
of the cases. Someone who is suffering like from diabetes or from hypertension, and if it is recurrent, just don't worry. It may require very small medication, and you will remain well from the depression point of view. as well as your primary illness will also be under control. If whatever it is, whether it is
All right.
diabetes, whether it's hypertension, whether it is thyroid, whether it is a cancer, whether it is any kind of metabolic disorder, all things will be under control if your depression is under control.
All right.
So always try to treat the depression.
All right. So Dr. Ravi says that depression is probably one of the most common and the most prevalent form of disease if in the all diseases listed in the medical dictionary. But the good news is it is absolutely curable. It's just that in some cases it may take a little longer, and a small appropriate form of medication can do the magic, can do wonders. It is not something that anyone needs to be worried about. It is curable and it is treatable, and to 100% extent. And that is what Dr. Ravi's message to everyone. So do not worry, it can be cured, is Dr. Ravi's message to everyone. Shashi, your message to the world.
I think I'm just going to take the lead from Dr. Rohan and Dr. Ravi and say that, on a personal note, because I don't have much insight on the medical side of things. But what I can say is that, this doesn't, if you go through something that you don't understand or that is too overwhelming for you, it doesn't define you. What defines you is your ability to accept that as part of as your experience, and take strength in the fact that you were able to reach out for help when you weren't able to do anything for yourself. And then move forward and let that be a sort of guiding light for others around you as well. So
all right. Thank you so much for such a profound message. And in simple words, Shashi wants to say to everyone, if you need help, take help. Because that is, and if you do that, your life is going to be simpler and happier. And it is not something to be worried about, because this worry can be taken care of. One need not be troubled about the same. So I would thank Dr. Ravi, Dr. Rohan, and Shashi for being so forthcoming and for your valuable time to be in our show in a dialogue, a word with a word on depression. We are committed to help people get the best of the professional and best of the awareness. And we are going to request in future time for your support for another issues related to mental health as well. Thank you so much for being part of our show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you so much. Friends, you are watching A Word with the World, and I'm your friendly psychologist, Amitabh Mohan. This episode of A Word with the Word is sponsored by Human Learning Systems India, HLS India, an organization committed to mental well-being and educational well-being of people for last 28 years. So we at HLS has taken the lead to come forward and be our sponsors for this episode of A Word with a Word. We are committed, and mental health certainly has gained a very different level of significance, and we are dedicating our next episode also to mental health and counseling in school context, in schools. Friends, stay tuned to us on the School Times. We are going to have a dialogue on mental health and counseling in schools next Monday. Stay tuned and keep watching A Word with the Word.